Fanatics View, we are in the building with Sneaker Reporter.
All right.
I should say in front of the building. Not
Yeah,
in the building.
in front of the ACC. This is unfamiliar territory for me.
You get the initial Sneaker Report story. You know, how did you decide to get into this business? When did you start covering NBA games? What made you conceptualize Sneaker Reporter?
Okay. Yeah, Sneaker Reporter came about, I want to say back in 2009. I was in Boston, got an opportunity to work with blackathlete.net, and it was basically a company that, just was all pro-black, supporting black athletes and stuff like that, basically telling our own stories. And I was working with them, and then I was able to branch out and kind of do the Sneaker Reporter thing after that, as far as working with them, being under their wing, learning about, the business through them while covering the Celtics games. And then that's how the Sneaker Reporter came about. I was actually around Gary Washburn, he covers the Boston Celtics, Kyle Draper, he covers the Celtics, Sherrod Blakely. Those guys were like, you're wearing suit and tie combinations all the time, but this isn't you. You know what I'm saying? You're 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? Won't you be you? Won't you be the Sneaker Reporter? You can wear sneakers, but wear casual clothes while you're reporting the game as well. So that's kind of how that came about. And I've been blessed and fortunate to be able to be in a position where I can mix the two things that I love, because I'm a sneakerhead, but at the same time I love basketball just as much. So that's basically how that came about, and it was a good little niche that they carved out for me, and I kind of took it and ran with it.
From there, you go to the Celtics, or there you go to OKC. Tell me where.
Yeah,
where does the journey go from there?
Yeah. So it started in Boston. I was covering the Celtics from 2010 all the way to 2014, and I covered the Celtics in 2009, but I did like a couple of games, so I don't kind of count that. That was kind of like the initiation. You know what I'm saying? Just learning the game and being a sponge, and just being able to actually learn about the industry and learn about how to be a professional. So 2010 was the first time I was actually able to cover home and away games. So that's when I would definitely consider everything kind of starting off for me. So the journey started in Boston. That's where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? That's my city. I represent all day. And then I like to say, and a lot of people say this too, Boston basically made me and raised me. But Oklahoma City is where where I made that bread. You know what I'm saying?
And what is the backstory about you getting into NBA 2K? What's the story behind that?
Okay, so basically, I'm gonna transition the whole Oklahoma City, how Oklahoma City came about. So the reason why I actually went to Oklahoma City was because of Perry Jones Jr., Reggie Jackson, Andre Robertson, and those guys covering. I was covering the 2014 Summer League, and those guys were constantly there. And I was covering the Celtics at the time, but I was hanging out with the Thunder players. And another part of that too is Nolan Smith, who just became the assistant coach for Duke University. Shout out to Nolan, my big bro. And he basically was one of those guys that was like, hey, look, we need to be able to transition and make this happen, because at the time he was on the Thunder Summer League team. He just came back from his injury. So just talking to Andre Robertson and all those guys, linking up with them, they was like, hey man, you really got a good niche if you come out to Oklahoma City. That's kind of where everything can really pop off for you, because nobody talks about the culture and talks about the game out there. So he was like, that Midwest is missing that. And so I just wanted to bring my flavor. Now fast forward to 2K. 2K came about. They reached out to me. I didn't know I had some of the gaming developers actually following me on Instagram, and they reached out to me and it was like, hey man, did you ever think about being in the game? And I said, yeah. I said, I play 2K all the time, you know what I'm saying? And, they was like, we want to make that a dream come true for you, So I didn't know if it was going to initially happen when 2K, I believe it was 2K17 or 18, when it first came out. I didn't know if I was going to be in the game at first. They sent me copies, but I just moved from apartments. So whoever's at my old apartment, you got those free copies of 2K. But they sent it, but I didn't get it. But I bought the game, and then when I saw I was in the game, man, it was just a humbling experience, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it. I called my mom, cried like a baby, because you play that game, you're not imagining you're gonna be in the game. You know what I'm saying? So I credit that moment to Oklahoma City as well, because a lot of, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, those guys really shed a lot of light on me in my career and helped me get to where I am right now and propel me to where I am. So I want to say if they wasn't there, that attention wouldn't have been shed on me to the point that the 2K developers would be following me. So I don't think that whole thing would have happened, but I'm blessed and fortunate it happened though.
Right on, right on. And so who is you've interviewed tons of players.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite interview and why?
Favorite interview? I'll have to go with, for me, it would probably have to be either Chris Paul. I'll probably go Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, or Russell Westbrook. But if I was going to put it in order, I'll go Westbrook, KD, then CP3. Now, and I'll tell you why. The reason why Westbrook, a lot of people are intimidated by Westbrook, but he's relatable. You know what I'm saying? He comes from the inner city just like me, and I think he respected me, and when you have the respect of a Russell Westbrook, especially being a media member, I think that kind of, he knew that I was the type of person, I'm going to come in, do my job. I'm not going to try to do the clickbait and everything like that. I'm going to be real and genuine. And a lot of the media members used to be nervous to ask questions. So they'd be like, hey, Trav, ask him the question first, just to get things started. So I used to always ask him questions first. One of my biggest videos on YouTube is his execution video that went, I think, 2 million views on that. So hopefully this gets 2 million views. And, so that blew up. KD, like me and KD, man, that was my favorite player. Still is one of my favorite players. And when I went to Oklahoma City, it just kind of like connected, where we were able to talk about everything from sneakers, his game. It didn't matter what it was. And he always gave me a lot of insight on a lot of stuff that was coming out for his brand or some of the events he had, fundraising as well. So I was always there for those. And then CP3, he's just, man, he's his IQ, just talking to him, I feel like I'm learning basketball just as much as he's telling me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm finding something out new that I never knew before when I talk to Chris. And it's not just about talking about sneakers and stuff like that with Chris. It's more so just being able to be a sponge and listen to what he actually knows, because he was able to give that information to Shay. So just listening to how he talks and how he handles the media like a professional, I always love talking to him. And then my goofiest ones are Andre Robertson, for sure. Like me and him, that was my first like hour-long interview, was Andre Robertson. We was in a hotel back in Florida, in Orlando, during Summer League, I think 2013, and we sat there and we talked for a whole hour, man. So that's my brother, and he's always gonna be my brother. So those are probably the 4 right there. PG's, obviously, me and PG are close too, so I would definitely throw PG out there as well as far as NBA players, for sure. And Langston, my dog Langston Galloway. Can't forget about my brother Langston Galloway too. So those are the ones.